something, guys? She's still very sad. She's apparently really sad now. I drove it last night. I took it to get dinner. Kind of sat for a couple days, as I do. Where are we at? 198, 116. So I was driving it and kind of noticed it's running funny. It started running really weird, kind of out of nowhere. And we actually got a check engine light out of it. So I don't know how much I'm going to invest in this today. I don't know if I'm going to invest into this at all, depending on what it is, because, well, you know, after the hit, you know, I don't know. There's really a whole lot that I want to put into this car. My initial goal was to get it to 200K, and she's close. Apparently I'm not close enough to this plug. There we go. Hopefully there's battery in this thing. I haven't charged it in a while. Oh, please turn on. There. I think we got it. Here we go. So the dilemma was the registration expires next month. A little less than a month now, actually, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to renew the registration on it. Because, you know, I want to push it to 200K, but anything can go wrong with this car in that amount of time. I don't want to start it yet, so let's get into our thing here. Now the Altel is a little it can be a little finicky with the Saab, depending on, you know, what kind of data and stuff that we are trying to accomplish. I don't know, I should have just went to the engine control module. So yeah, there's a fault there. This is going to take forever. There's always faults in other modules. I don't know why. I don't really care at this point. Hold on. I'm just going to stop that. What do we got? What? P1312. Sooted spark plugs. I have never heard of that before. What? That's a different one. We just put plugs in this. These spark plugs are not that old. Sooted spark plugs. Alright, so like I was saying, when it comes to what kind of data and stuff we can try to interpret with this Altel, one of those things that acts funny is the misfire counters. The misfire counters don't reset, and sometimes their values are just crazy. So I don't 100% trust. Uh-oh, did I pass them? Okay, yeah, misfire value. Okay, so I don't know if I trust these numbers. They never, on this particular thing, they don't go back to 0. So no, we'll go ahead and start it up real quick. See what it do. They don't appear to be changing. We got a new rattle over there somewhere. I don't think any of those have changed. So, yeah, like I said, I can't. Those don't reset unless I actually unhook the PCM or like unhook the battery. So actually, if I unhooked the battery, and we just did when we did the alternator, I did have to have the battery unhooked. So all of these values should have been at 0. So it does kind of show that there was some misfiring going on. But honestly, I think this car has always had some sort of weird misfire. They just happen. This car, the counts were always really high in the PCM before the reset. So, I mean, apparently if these are counting like this, then it is missing. It's not doing it now, apparently. You know, we've always had some sort of weird running issues with this car since I've had it. When my stepsister had it, she had some weird running issues from time to time too. So, you know, it just, I don't think I'm really going to invest a whole lot into this issue. I'm not going to do it today because it's getting late in the afternoon and it's also getting dark and it's probably going to rain. But, you know, maybe we'll pull the plugs back out and take a look at them. I think there might just be something else going on. I'm honestly, you know, going to look into that code a little more and see if there's any possible thing behind that. I've never seen that code before, so never heard of that code. I don't think I can do any kind of PCM or idle reset or something with this particular scan tool. See if I can go back to all the way back to our live data. Oh, you know what? Let's try generic OBD. I didn't want to auto scan. I wanted to. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. I want to see if maybe this reads anything differently. Running out of camera memory. She feels like she's running good now, you know? Fuel trims aren't too bad. Not too bad. No misfire counters with OBD generic data. Darn. Had to clear out some camera memory real quick. Cylinder 4 went up 2, I think, from the last time that we saw this here. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it much longer today, so I guess we're going to revisit this. And I guess we'll just have to go from there, I guess. This is why it's like, I said, a lot can go wrong in trying to get this thing to 200K. We're less than 2,000 miles now from reaching that, but if it's gonna start to act weird and actually run weird and stuff, I'm not putting a whole lot into it because it's not worth it. Alright folks, so here we are. It's been a couple days since I've been out here. So I did a little bit of research about that code, P1312, ionization signal issue, sooted spark plugs. So what it comes down to, the ionization part is kind of where this all falls in line a little bit. And this being a Saab, of course, this is where the Saab things kind of take place. So this engine does not use a camshaft position sensor to determine the position of the engine during the ignition cycle, firing order. It also does not use a knock sensor. Both of these things go back to what they call the ionization detection module, or something like that. So yeah, this is where it's all gonna get kind of crazy. I apologize for any noise that you guys might hear in the background of this video because my neighbor's having her basement redone, her waterproofed, so they're kind of loud. But anyway, so yes, so this engine does not utilize a camshaft position sensor or a knock sensor. It uses this guy right here. This is the ionization detection module, I guess, or something along those lines. So basically, I guess like the way it works is, I guess it almost sounds like a waste spark system in a way. So when the car is being started, you have cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 4, I believe, share the same signal, and 2 and 3 share the same signal also. In fact, I did take some pictures of service data on my phone. Let me see if I can pull them up real quick just to make sure I'm kind of giving that to you guys right. But basically, so when the car runs, there's like this module detects which cylinder is actually combusting, I guess, the most in a way, through these signals after the combustion takes place. So the coil will relay the signal back to that ionization module, and that module there will then tell the PCM, I guess, or PCM's under here. It'll tell the PCM exactly where the engine is in the firing order, and then the engine runs correctly. 1, 2, 3, and 4. No, that's not the firing order. Is it? Here's our, okay, 1, 3, 4, and 2 is the firing order. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's our cylinder position. But cylinder 1 would fire first, followed by cylinder 3, then 4, then 2, then 1. So it goes 1, 3, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2, 1, 3, 4, 2. So that's how this engine fires. Like I said, the coil, after the combustion takes place, the coil sends this signal through another wire to the ionization module to let it know that the firing order is on track, everything is fine. If there's a misfire or an engine knock, which a knock in this case is considered to be unwanted detonation or combustion. So basically, if you have two cylinders firing at once, that's a problem. This module here also detects that instead of a knock sensor, that the misfire or the knock would cause the check engine light to come on. So it uses, like I said, a signal here. I took some more pictures, tried to really make sense of all this. So the CDM, I'm not sure if they're considering that to be the coil. Tried looking up a CDM, I didn't really find anything about it, but the CDM does an initial signal processing. I think it is the coil. Or no, maybe it's something in the PCM. The CDM does an initial signal processing of the ionization signals from each ignition coil. The CDM transmits 3 signals to the ECM. It's knock sensor, combustion signals for cylinders 1 and 3, and a combustion signal for cylinders 2 and 4. These signals are used for knock control, synchronization of the ignition timing and fuel injection, and for misfire detection. But I couldn't find anything about this CDM, so I'm not exactly sure if that's something in the ionization module or if it's in the PCM, or if it's the thing at the top of the ignition coil itself, because these coils do have like their own individual, things on them. So that could be it. So basically, I mean, what it's coming down to is it could either be the spark plugs are bad. We just did spark plugs, so I highly doubt that. We made sure they were properly gapped. Spark plugs should not be the issue here. The ignition coils could be weak, or we could, they could be weakening. This car being almost 200K, possibly a thing. The ionization module could be bad, and I have read apparently that those are pretty common for failure because they're not waterproofed apparently. Something about that connector there, which we're going to take off here in a moment. I guess water can get into them, and it kind of kills them, with corrosion. So if that module is messed up, then that will also cause this issue. Now you can see there's still oil and stuff leaking from something or other. I don't really know. But I was thinking maybe the wiring or the module itself could be soaking in oil, but that module kind of floats away a little further than I thought. So I don't think that's our problem, as far as oil being a thing. Let me see if I can disconnect this module here. It's like 43 degrees outside. The sun is out, like really out today, but the wind is very cold. It's very breezy. There it is. I wasn't planning on doing this today, guys. I'm actually in the process of going to get my license renewed for the next 4 years. I didn't really want to do this, but might as well go into it. How far out does this go? I think that's it. No, not yet. Let's see. Nothing. Well, hold on. Let me see here. That's a little bit of crusties on there. Looks like it. Yeah, there doesn't look like there's any kind of weather packing in there. They'll seem to be okay. I don't know, I can't tell. I'm having a hard time seeing. It looks like there's some green on like some of the tips, but it could be because of the light, but I don't know. Alright, so let's just put that back in for now. I don't have any like contact cleaner or anything. Alright, so she's locked back in. Alright, so here we are. Back under there. So I guess we can pull these off and take a look at them. We could do some testing with like resistance and stuff to see if, you know, they're still within spec, but honestly, you know, I don't have that information at this time, so there's no point in trying to use values when we don't have anything to really interpret them off of. And like I said, I'm really not planning on, I'm probably not going to invest a whole lot into this issue, because I mean, you know, if it's the coils, well, technically you should be replacing all the coils at this point. If you buy brand new ones, that's expensive. If you buy them at a junkyard, it's a little cheaper, but you know, usually with the junkyard stuff, you never know if you're going to get something good unless, you know, we can find the proper test value and then test for a good one. I know this one, what was it, number 2, I think there's some oil running into the you know, some oil dripping from the, why can't I think of what that's called? Anyway, the one gasket. Okay. Tube seal, that's the word I'm looking for. A little bit of grease in there. There's no marking on the outside of these, of this boot. I think they would call that carbon tracking. Oh, the sun's helping me a lot today at this angle. So weird. Okay, so the end of this one, not so much. The end of that one, it's got the white stuff on it. That might not be anything. It's kind of hard to tell from visual, you know, visualization. Mitsubishi, interesting. Mitsubishi coils. So all the plugs are down in there, okay. I'm not going to pull them out, but I do want to make sure maybe they're tightened enough. You know, they should be snug. So I'm going to see if any of them are loose or looser, but I really don't see that being the case either. Just as I had suspected, they are perfectly tight. Well, I don't really know where else to go at this time. You can see each coil's got 4 wires on it. Assuming one's like, you know, obviously there's a power and a ground. the one's probably like the signal for the ionization module. Another one is probably a signal for knocking all by itself. So yeah, I don't know, guys. Now what I am gonna do, we're gonna bolt this back up, and I'm going to unhook the battery. Well, honestly, first I'm gonna clear that code with the Altel. I want to make sure that the code is gone. Then we're gonna unhook the battery, because then I'm going to, by unhooking the battery, the misfire counters should all reset. Then we're going to let it run for a little bit, let it warm up. I want to see if any of the misfires do occur, because they all have numbers on them. Some are higher than others. I think 2 and 3 were the highest. So still, with all of them having misfires on them, I don't know. I could, I guess, always go to the junkyard and find another one of these ionization modules here. But again, who's to say if it's any good? Who's to say if that's our problem, you know? I really don't want to pull the plugs out, especially right now because this thing's cold. So we're not going to do that right now, but at least wanted to take a look at the coils, make sure the plugs were tight enough in there. So let's bolt the coils back down, and we'll do all of our resetting. Now this thing, this whole thing going on could be nothing new, because, you know, this thing has always, at least since I've had it, this thing has always had a weird running from time to time. And you remember, like, even when the car would start to get warm and want to go to its proper idle speed, it would all of a sudden start, like, missing really bad. The weird thing is it doesn't seem to do that in colder weather. So, I mean, for the most part, up until now, it's been running pretty good. We cleaned the throttle body, and that kind of stopped it from chugging upon startup. I put new plugs in it, hoping that it would correct the weird missing for it coming to an idle, but that was not the case. I really don't know. But that specific code that we got is pinpointing either the plugs, the coils, or the module, or possibly a wiring issue in between. At least from what I see. So I don't know. Like I said, I really don't know if I want to invest in fixing this. The knocking could potentially be dangerous to the engine if it continues to be a knock situation. So I don't really know. I don't know what we're gonna do. There we go. Alright, so we know that that's gone. Alright, so now I'm going to just get out of this. I'm going to go under the hood. Let's, we're going to go ahead and unhook the battery for a moment, and then we'll hook it back up, and that should reset all of that stuff. And then we'll monitor those misfires and see if they come back. Alright, so we had it undone for about 2 minutes. Uh-oh. There we go. Alright, yeah, clock's gone. All this stuff's back. Alright, let's go back. Fuel gauge is reading higher now. Weird. Control, engine control. This vlog's probably kind of boring, guys. I'm sorry. Especially if we're not really coming to a resolution today. See, here's the thing for the combustion signal. So this has something to do with that ionization. Signal 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. I'm not sure how to read that. Is there info on it? That's all you're going to give me. Yeah, I'm not sure what measurement we're looking here, but there is a data PID for it apparently. Misfires. Alright, so we're back to 0 on the misfires. We are back to 0 on all the knock counters also. Oh, too bad my screen's not big enough here to get all of that in there. So close. Alright, so let's go ahead and fire it up, see what happens. Alright, so upon startup we immediately had misfires. No knocks. The light is still off. Yeah, so 3, 3, 2, and 4. Like I said, there's no knocking apparently. Let's see what this. So why is there a signal here and no signal here? Oh wait. Oh, okay, so I guess it goes back and forth. Maybe the Altel can't interpret how quick that is, but yeah, okay. So I'm assuming maybe that's normal. I'm not I'm not sure. This thing here's always reading in the red. So I don't know what that sensor's supposed to be at, or if the Altel's reading it right. Microsecond. That's what it means. I finally found it. 1/1,000,000th of a second. So that would explain why this seems like it's going back and forth, and the fact that it's excuse me, kind of lagging a little bit. 1/1,000,000th of a second. So that's how fast that signal should be traveling. Now, how to interpret that, really, I don't know, but something's there, so I mean, I guess that's fine. We are at 141 degrees, engine coolant temp wise, and our misfires and NOx for that point, they haven't changed. The misfires changed that time, so we're all at 4 now. There's no NOx. One and 3 changed. No NOx. I don't know. Let's put it in gear real quick. Be very careful. Give it a little bit of load. Oh, there was a knock on 1. Knock on 2. Oh, look at that. So in gear, all I'm doing is power braking it. Interesting. Cylinder 2 is going up. Cylinder 3 is going up. Cylinder 4, wow. 2, where we got almost $2,000. And that's with load on the engine, apparently. Oh, there goes my phone. So we got 5 misfires along 1, 2, and 3. Cylinder 4. And apparently these knock values are now up as well. And looks like the engine's at temperature. Alright, so I'm done for today, I think. Yeah, just sitting here, you know, running the same engine speed without the load on it. Nothing seems to be changing. So it's very weird because it doesn't really seem like this engine has drastically changed in how it was running. Other than the fact that the one night when the check engine light came on, it did seem to really take a really weird, you know, turn for the time. But, you know, other than that, it's running the same as it was. In fact, you know, when we put the new plugs in, it actually was running smoother. It still really doesn't feel like it's running, you know, that differently. It feels the same. But, you know, looking at this data list here, you know, after resetting all the values and seeing that we do have the occasional misfire, and apparently some knock signals are getting in there, compared to the values that the scan tool was showing before we even reset the numbers, it does seem like it's something that is taking place. So I don't know, and maybe just the night that I drove it, something, it did something to where it really felt a significant need to set the light and let me know that there was an issue. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to keep driving it the way it is, like I said. The coils, the spark plugs, or that little module, like I said, based on what I've seen in service data and online, those are the probable causes, other than the fact that maybe there's a weird wiring issue, but I don't know, I feel like the wiring issue would be a stretch. I don't think that that's the issue at all. Other than that, this car really doesn't feel any different running wise, so I'm just going to ignore it now. And just continue on with, I don't know, I'm still debating on whether I want to keep this, for the next year or not. I'm still not 100% sure yet. I'm still giving it some thought. But I am going to renew my license today, and I am going to renew my registration on both of our main cars for now, and then I'll attack these two later on in the month. So that's it. Just going to let it go as is. If you guys did enjoy this for whatever reason, thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. And of course, if anything comes up, I will let you guys know. But yeah, that's really all that I've got for today. I will see you guys in the next one. In the meantime, thanks for watching and take care.